Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about progress and how all progress is valid. This is something that I've been struggling with a lot lately. Specifically, I've been working on finishing up season 14 and putting that out for release, and it's just a slog. It's a big problem because there's a lot of mixing issues and mastering issues, like with the music itself, but then there's all of the ephemera for it, which is like the album art, the liner notes, the commentary. I add commentary to all of my Bandcamp downloads. And a lot of that stuff I really struggle with. And it doesn't feel like I'm making progress. Like I spend hours on the album art or something, and I think it works, but maybe not. I'll have to go back to it and look later. And even though that's hours spent, that's still progress. And I think that even though not like measurable, like not like easily like noticeable progress has been made, like making a whole song, but progress still has been made. And I think that that's still something that is valid and should be celebrated. And I don't do that often enough. There are many times where I just get frustrated because I'm not like finishing this album. It's not done. And, there's a lot of problems with that because I get down on myself for things that aren't really a problem, but I make them a problem because I feel like I could do better, or my expectations for progress are so skewed that I expect things to go a lot farther than they do in that amount of time. And a lot of creative things like music or album design or any of that stuff is a process of iteration and like movement and momentum, and it's not something that just tends to happen right away. So when I get frustrated with the album art, when I don't have ideas, it's just like, well, what am I going to do then? And then I get flustered and I don't really know how to progress. And with the commentary, I've been making commentary for all of my albums since I started doing this. And I can't say that I'm a huge fan of doing it, but I think that it adds value to the download on Bandcamp. In the very least, it gives me an opportunity to do a little bit of a retrospective on the album and talk about some of the things that I was going through, or some of the stuff that was happening in my life while I was making that specific song, and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's tedious. It's something that takes a lot of time to do, and I don't always feel like I'm being productive, where really like that kind of stuff adds value. And even though it's not like making a whole song, it's still something that I think is very important to the process of making something, because a lot of the time the making the music part isn't really always the forefront. Like the music is important, obviously, but even when the album is done, like all of the work on the music is done, that's kind of when a lot of other work starts. There's a book by Derek Sivers, I think it's Sivers, not Sievers, called Your Music and People, I think. And he talked a lot about marketing in that, and a lot of the work actually comes after finishing the art. If you're looking at this from a marketing and a business standpoint, the finished album is your starting line, and everything after that is work toward adding value to the consumer to actually encourage them to purchase it and give you their money. And it's really hard to keep that in mind because of how small some of these changes are, or some of these additions are. But I think they're still worthwhile. And I actually put a lot of effort into making the Bandcamp stuff a little bit more interesting and unique. Like I have the liner notes, I have the high quality album art, I have the commentary, I have a big old list of Patreon supporters that I do for all of those with custom artwork and all this other stuff. It's like all of this is technically not necessary, but for what little marketing I do for my art, for my music, like I want to at least try to bring more value into that. And I've got a little off topic for this, but like progress on all of those little things is still valuable, even though it feels like I'm wasting my time. I'm actually halfway through writing the commentary for season 14 right now. And I just needed a break. Basically what I do is I sit down, I hit play on the album, and then I just write. And this album is 70 minutes long. So it's a lot of just sitting and writing, and that's fine. It goes through a lot of turmoil in my life because this album was made at the end of 2020 and the start of 2021. So there was a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, it's just, excuse me. It's just, it's exhausting. And I was making lunch while I was taking a little bit of a break, and I was just like, man, why am I doing this? And it's just like, I'm still making progress. I'm still doing something of value. To me, like not like necessarily monetary value, but something that's like valuable to me personally, that makes me feel like I'm putting the level of quality into a product that I'm comfortable with. And even though it's not like writing a song, it's still important to the process. And I lose that sometimes, and I want to be more aware of the work that I do, and each step along the way is still valuable. So yeah, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday and a fantastic weekend, and I will talk at you. I will talk in the next one. Be remarkable.